Hey, everybody, this is Sean Monk,
And I'm TJ Cornwell.
and this is the Paced Well podcast feed.
The first topic of our segment called New News is New Mutants moving to, what is it, August 28th now? The release date? Probably the fifth time it's been changed. This movie.
Yeah, this is
not
ridiculous.
Catch a break.
It's been moved 5 times. Well, it's been moved 4 times, but it's had 5 release dates. The first one was all the way back on April 13th, 2018 was originally when this was going to release. Then Fox moved it to avoid Deadpool 2. It moved it back almost an entire year to February 22nd, 2019, which then it was moved to avoid Dark Phoenix, which Dark Phoenix itself was moved off of its Valentine's Day release. So that didn't even do it. Then it got pushed again to August 2nd, 2019, which then it was shelved because of the Fox-Disney merger.
Yeah.
And then finally, Disney gave it a release date of April 3rd, 2 years after the first release date. And then because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it's now been moved again, an additional almost 4.5 months.
You just, at this point, I feel like you just released that Disney Plus. Like, what I get, like, you put money into it. I think they reshot some things, correct?
There's been conflicting reports. The director has said that there weren't extensive reshoots, that Disney is letting him do his version of the movie. So it's kind of muddy on that, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't really know if we're ever going to get a real answer on whether or not that's correct. But the issue is they can't release it on Disney Plus because the Fox X-Men movies have their rights with HBO. So that means any streaming of the New Mutants has to come out on HBO, the same way that just recently in the past month or two, Dark Phoenix debuted on HBO. They have the streaming exclusive rights for, I think, 2 years.
If I'm HBO, I'm thinking, all right, we got the Snyder Cut one hand, we got New Mutants the other hand. You put them together, release them at the same time. I mean, you're going to see your subscription numbers just shoot all the way up when you're first launching. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
Exactly.
I mean, the real question, I feel like one of the questions is this movie even going to be better than, like, I haven't seen most of the X-Men, but, like, is it going to be better than Dark Phoenix?
Exactly. That is the question. And I really hope so. But what you just said actually brings us to our next topic, which is just breaking a few minutes ago, is that it's looking like, not confirmed yet, but it is looking like with the launch of HBO Max, or shortly after the launch of HBO Max, Warner Brothers is moving forward with releasing the Snyder Cut. What are your thoughts on us finally getting the Snyder Cut over 2.5 years after the release of Justice League in theaters?
Well, I know when I saw the movie, I think I saw it I want to say I saw it in 3D, or that was Batman vs Superman. Wasn't the best. Wasn't the worst DC movie, but it still wasn't great. Is there like there's not an obviously there's not an extended edition, right? Because that would be the director's extended edition.
No, the only one that was released is the Joss Whedon cut. That was the one that was released on Blu-ray and everything. The only one that's had, Suicide Squad had a different cut. It wasn't, David Ayer said it wasn't his actual cut, but the only one that's had an ultimate cut was Batman v Superman.
Gotcha.
I just think it's going to be a lot of work for something that, we don't even know if we're going to be seeing these characters again. Which is like,
I mean, half of them don't even, like, well, Ben Affleck's gone. Ezra Miller is, I don't know.
Crazy.
Who's the other one? Who's the guy who plays Cyborg? I don't remember his name.
Yeah, Ray Fisher. That was supposed to be a big movie breakout. I mean, just what is it? Last month, was supposed to be originally on the original DC slate. Last month was supposed to be when a Cyborg movie was coming out. He was supposed to have a solo Cyborg movie.
Month. It was supposed to be last month.
Yeah, last month. That's right.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
that's tough. Okay. And then Henry Cavill's up in the air, Superman, and then obviously Gal.
Exactly.
Gal Gadot,
and
right?
at this time, I mean, at this time, it's like Gal Gadot. She's doing great with the Wonder Woman franchise, but does she need to be in team up movies? You know what I mean? If Wonder Woman's doing so good on her own, I mean, I don't understand why you would want to muddy those waters with the up and down past of this franchise. And then, like you said, Henry Cavill. I mean, the guy's he's got his own Netflix series, got his own huge budget Netflix series that is probably more than enough money for anybody to live. Not to mention it being one of the top shows that they've ever released. Until Tiger.
I was gonna say, is it good? I don't know if it's good.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that it's supposed to be
like
really
I've
good.
never read. I'm not a big reader anyway, but I never read any of the Witcher books. I've never played Witcher ever.
Yeah, I've never read or played any of them either, but apparently it's supposed to be really good. I've been meaning to watch it, but yeah, so that's kind of our thoughts on the whole Snyder Cut and also New Mutant situation that's unfolding. Next, we do have some unfortunate news, which is this past week we actually lost two comedy giants, I would consider them. And Jerry Stiller passed away at the age of 92. And then just a few days ago, Fred Willard passed away at the age of 80. What are your thoughts on that?
Jerry Stiller. He was one of the big sticking points for me for Seinfeld. I loved him in Seinfeld. I haven't really seen like anything he's been in. It's kind of like before my time.
Mm-hmm. You ever seen Zoolander? You ever seen Zoolander?
No, I've never gotten into those. I think when we were working once, I walked into Zoolander 2 for like 5 minutes. Like it's not for me. Yeah. I've seen Hairspray.
He was in Hairspray.
Yes,
oh my gosh! Yes.
I don't know the last time I watched it.
With mine and TJ's close personal friend, Mr. John Travolta. Great film. Great film.
He was just, oh my god, he was so amazing as Frank Costanza. It was so many different
Serenity now.
Exactly, just so many like quotes that you can just take from his character. He'll be truly missed.
Oh, so good. And then, what can you say about Fred Willard? I mean, the guy freaking. All you need to say about him is that he is such a charismatic presence that Pixar and WALL-E said, you know what, we don't even need to animate this guy as the president. We're just going to leave him live action in the movie, which I think speaks to it the most. And that is one of my favorite roles of his. Also, his work in Anchorman blows me away every single time I see that movie. His line delivery and everything that he pulls off in that movie with the situation with his son and all the multiple phone calls that he gets is absolutely amazing. And I know he is I just was looking up that he's actually in the new Space Force show coming out next week on Netflix. And I just hope that, I hope he's not like a recurring character, or I hope it's something that they have the ability to, write around it or write him out or whatever. But at least, with Greg Daniels producing that, who produced The Office, and Steve Carell and that great cast, at least we're definitely going to be able to get, one last great performance out of him. I'm sure it's going to be really good.
Well, that's even like in Once Upon a Time was Luke Perry, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that was like his last role, and I think he had a small part, but he was still like very good in it.
Yeah, exactly. What was your thoughts on him not being in the in memoriam section at the Oscars? Luke Perry. The movie was nominated for Best Picture that night.
What was their excuse? Wasn't it like they didn't have enough? It was
time.
Like,
they said they didn't have enough time.
It's already, the Oscars are already 2.5 hours,
and that's without a host. Yeah.
So just it's like you might as well just include everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
And honestly, it's probably going to become longer because I mean, I don't want to go on like a tangent and a rant here, but
rant away.
you should add like a new like stunts as a category. I mean, or is it stuntman or stunts? Exactly, because there's just so many movies that get overlooked, or so many just like really don't get recognized.
I believe I have this right. It's the SAG Awards that they have best stunt ensemble. That I believe Avengers Endgame won this past award season. It won the award for best stunt ensemble, and I think that's incredible. I mean, the fact that but I mean, even that has its flaws. Where I believe in that movie, not even I think it was that not even John Wick was nominated, or I should say that John Wick wasn't even nominated, which is crazy. I mean, I love Avengers Endgame. I mean, it's pinnacle of action adventure storytelling. But the stunt work in John Wick and the fact that it's all real and you know what I mean, it just it's one of those movies where a lot of people, when they complain about action movies like the Transformers franchise comes to mind. The quick cuts and you can't tell what the action is that's happening around you. I just think the John Wick stuff is just on a whole nother level. It's ridiculous. But speaking of that, one thing that used to be a Michael Bay franchise that I think was fantastic this year was Bad Boys for Life. Fantastic. Real good.
Big Bad Boys fan. Could go for an Oscar if nothing else comes out. I don't know.
If nothing else comes out, we could be looking at Will Smith for Best Actor here.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But yeah, I mean, I think the action in that third movie was amazing, and also something that I would say had no business being as good as it was the cinematography in that.
Yeah.
I have no desire to be in or live in Miami, but that movie made it look so freaking beautiful at night.
Yeah.
And just all the action scenes. No spoilers here, but there is an action scene that takes place in a car garage, and there's like paint flying, and it's like a cool dynamic action scene. And throughout the entire thing, it's like a 10-minute extended action scene. And throughout the entire thing, you never lose place of where the characters are. And that's exactly the type of thing that the John Wick movies do. Which I just think is amazing. Like in the third one, that just the book fight at the very beginning of the third movie. That's all I'll say. It's amazing. But tangent aside, definitely, our hearts go out to the families and friends of, Fred Willard and Jerry Stiller. But so our next story, which is actually kind of two stories in one, report coming that Timothy Olyphant from Justified and Deadwood has been cast in Mandalorian season 2. So who, if you had to guess, he's known for playing cowboys, rogue type, shoot 'em up. What type of character do you think Timothy Olyphant will be playing in Mando season 2?
I'm not sure exactly, because Timothy Olyphant, be honest, good looking guy. So you think you don't want to cover him up in Mandalorian armor, you know what I mean? So he could be I don't know, he could be anybody. I honestly think he'll probably end up as just like another Mandalorian. I could be wrong, but I'm not completely sure, because this came out today, right? I think
it was today or yesterday. Yeah, it was definitely within the last 2 days.
No, I'm definitely not sure. And I would even wonder if he would last the entire, like if he'd be a regular or if he would be like in 1 or 2 episodes and he.
Yeah, because you look at season 1 of The Mandalorian, which will actually starting this week we'll be reviewing season 1 of Mandalorian on this podcast feed. We're going to be doing 1 episode every week for the next 8 weeks, and then we'll also be talking about the documentary that's airing right now about Mandalorian. and giving our thoughts on that. But you take a look at season 1 of Mandalorian, and you see things like Cara Dune, Gina Carano's character. She was in all the marketing and everything, but only in about 3 or 4 episodes of the season. It was a lot of that last season, where it was a lot of individual stories, kind of then, kind of real, like Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven style, like all the different rogues come together at the end to fight the threat. The question becomes now that everyone is all together, are they going to stay all together? Is each episode going to be kind of a standalone thing again, or are we now past that point in the storytelling? Which I think is interesting, which leads us to our next bit of news about Mandalorian Season 2, which is earlier in the week. It was reported that Attack of the Clones star Tamora Morrison was going to be technically not reprising, but playing for the first time Boba Fett in Mandalorian Season 2. Now, slight spoilers. We're going to give a spoiler warning right now, so mute for maybe 30 seconds. But spoilers in 3, 2, 1. We'll say at the end of, I believe it was the 5th episode, the gunslinger, the one on Tatooine. At the end of the episode, we see Ming-Na Wen's character is knocked out on the ground, and then you see the trademark Boba Fett spurs walk into frame, and then the episode cuts to black. And we've been speculating this, so spoilers over now. We've been speculating this, that ever since people have been speculating this since 1983, that Boba Fett is alive somehow, or made it out of the Sarlacc pit, or someone rescued him or something. And it seems now, we have maybe confirmation of that. But the other thing is, with casting Tamora Morrison, he could be playing one of many roles. Because Tamora Morrison in the prequels, not only did he play Jango Fett, Boba Fett's father, but he played every single one of the clones. And a clone that he never played, because he's never been in live action before, is Captain Rex, the fan favorite character from Clone Wars, all 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. Kind of the main character clone in that series, who has a great relationship with Ahsoka Tano, the two of them. So now people are saying, is he playing Rex, or is he playing Boba Fett, or is he maybe even playing both of them? Which I think will be very interesting. I don't know. Just what are your thoughts on all that? All the different rumors, including Ahsoka.
Let me put. I have one question to pose you first. Okay, it's about Boba Fett. I feel like I don't understand like everybody's infatuation with the character. Like, okay, he's in episode 5 for what? 10 minutes max?
Not even.
Not even.
Yeah.
Episode 6, he's in it for what? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Maybe less. And then obviously in episode 2, he obviously sees his dad beheaded. I just never got
spoilers for Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, like I get why they would want to bring him back. I get why, Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau would be like, "Oh, let's bring this guy back. Everybody loves him." I just never got like the whole like why everybody likes him so much. I mean, considering he's barely in the movies, and then when I didn't like him in the Clone Wars animated series, don't like him in that show either. I think him as like a kid, he just whines all the time, and I can't stand him. And then the show or in the movies, like I didn't really care about him.
And that's saying a lot because you like that show, so it's showing.
Yeah, no, I like Clone Wars.
Yeah. Well, one thing is, that's something that a lot of people have brought up, that there's kind of the argument going around that, why are you bringing Boba Fett in? The character's had his chance, you know what I mean? It's kind of been done to death. Then there's people saying, well, this is the way to give him a second chance and, do something with him that can kind of redeem the character. But then on the same other side of the issue, people have said, well, look at how many versions of Boba Fett we've had. You know what I mean? They kind of did him a disservice in Return of the Jedi by killing him off in the first 10 minutes. Then they brought him back for the prequels. Wasn't a very loved character in that movie with the portrayal by Daniel Logan. No fault of his, just the way the character, the way the character was written and the way that the character acted. And then same thing with Clone Wars. People weren't the biggest fan of him in that. But
I don't know if everybody was, and I know I wasn't. But
yeah, well, the question then becomes is right now the kind of hot streak that Dave Filoni's on and also Jon Favreau's on at Lucasfilm. Are these the right people to finally bring us the Boba Fett that we deserve and that we want to see? But it's just going to be one of those things that time will tell. I personally, I want to see, especially if we're going to have, Sabine and Ahsoka in the show as well. I personally would love to see Rex in live action. But we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that.
It was live action, episode 6.
Oh yeah, well that's true. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah.
I don't know if that really counts. But I didn't know he was in. I didn't know Tamora Morrison was in Aquaman. I still haven't seen Aquaman.
Yeah, he plays his dad.
He plays Tom Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the actor Tim Curry. But
and then did you know he voices Boba in the Battlefront games too?
Yeah, he does his voice in the video games and in the special editions. Obviously, he does Boba Fett's voice. But so we'll keep an eye on that one. See what happens. There's a lot of news with Mandalorian season 2 coming out over the last couple weeks, so I'm sure we're not done talking about it. But then
I'm sorry. That's the one thing. I just wish this stuff wasn't leaked. Because I just think it'd be so cool to see it like instead of like knowing ahead of time, like it'd be so cool to like just watch it in real time and be like, oh my god. Like I want Mandalorian to have the same effect as the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars. Where it's just like it's like a movie basically. That it's like what Star Wars used to be.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau would also like it not to be leaked.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be watching that one to see, what unfolds with that. And the next thing that we want to talk about here is that CBS All Access orders its third Star Trek live action series, which is going to be based on the years where Captain Pike helms the USS Enterprise. Now I know, Tim, you don't watch Star Trek or not big into Star Trek. Haven't watched Star Trek Discovery, but I've seen all of Star Trek Discovery, seen all of Star Trek Picard, and I wasn't the biggest, and I'm a huge fan of Star Trek The Next Generation. Wasn't the hugest fan of Star Trek Picard. I thought there were some things in that just kind of didn't jive with just my personal interpretation of what, Starfleet and all that stuff stands for.
Yeah.
But I do understand the criticism of Star Trek Discovery. It's a little more comedy forward, a little more like zany. But I can forgive that just because it's one of those things where I can understand that they have to update it for modern audiences. I wish it wasn't the case like that, but they have to do that stuff. But needless to say, I think the best thing to come out of Star Trek Discovery in season 2 was definitely Anson Mount's portrayal of Captain Pike. He was fantastic in that season, and for people listening who know what happens to that character and why Kirk has to take over for him on the Enterprise, that fate of that character was definitely foreshadowed heavily in season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. So I'll definitely be interested to find out where that goes. Also that show we're going to be having Rebecca Romijn reprise her role as Number One, and Ethan Peck as Spock as well. Both, I thought they did pretty good performances in season 2 of Discovery. But needless to say, I'm definitely looking forward to that series. I just hope that it hits the right balance and can be more like the original series and more like Next Generation than Picard. But yeah. And then our last bit of news here is just that author Rick Riordan had announced on Twitter that a Percy Jackson live action series is in active development at Disney Plus. The series will cover all 5 of the original books, and he will be heavily involved in person in every aspect of the show. So it sounds like he will, if he's not the showrunner, he'll definitely be a very hands-on executive producer. Now, do you care about that at all? Do you have any feelings on this whatsoever?
I never read any of the books. I saw the first movie when I was in middle school, I want to say. I thought it was fun. I don't even remember it, in all honesty. Did they even weren't they supposed to make all the movies? They only made like 2 of them?
Yeah, I think they only made 2 of the movies. But also in that news, I saw on Twitter Logan Lerman, kind of gave his blessing for the franchise to move on, who obviously Logan Lerman played Percy Jackson in the original 2 movies. But he kind of gave his blessing that he's happy. He said he'll be happy to watch him as a fan, and that he's glad that they're going to be getting the adaptation that the books deserve. Which I think is very nice. You don't see a lot of that niceness coming from Hollywood sometimes, but it's just a nice thing to see. All right, so that about does it for the news today. So then the next thing that we're going to be getting to is our second topic of each episode, which is what we call the Grease Lightning round, which is me and TJ are just going to go through the last 5 things that we've watched. Now, this could be movies, television shows, limited series, documentaries, whatever it may be. We're just going to go down and rattle off the last 5 things that we've watched. So, TJ, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so past 5, I basically just have all movies. Well, one's kind of a movie, one's it's just a documentary, a long documentary. So I watched My Neighbor Totoro. I watched The Last Dance. I watched Rambo: Last Blood, Big Sick, and then First Reformed. And then that was it for me for the 5. What did you watch?
Perfect. So the last 5 things that I have watched, the first one is a little bit of a cheat, which is the Back to the Future trilogy. Normally, we don't want to have cheats like this on here, but I just had one of those days where I had a real hankering to watch them, and I watched them all in one sitting. So I'm going to consider it on my own personal list one thing. And then I watched the film Chef with Jon Favreau. Then I watched A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back to back. And then last night I watched Tron Legacy on Disney Plus, which is my 5 things. That is what I have been watching as of late. So with that, we just wanted to take a second and let you know that the Paced Well podcast will be right back in just a moment.
All right, we're back, and now it's time to shoot the shit.
All right. So shoot the shit is basically going to be where we, just like it says, we're just going to shoot the shit, talk about whatever topics we personally want to bring up, discuss with one another and discuss with you guys. So first of all, apparently Tim is going to be convincing me to watch some sort of a sports ball documentary series. So you can go ahead and try to convince me of that.
Why you gotta say it like that? Okay. You're not that big of a sports guy, are you? Correct? I'm not
Not.
You watch it from time to time, maybe?
Yeah, from time to time.
Okay. Well, The Last Dance is basically about it's about Michael Jordan's last year as in the not in the league, because after this year the documentary is talking about, he goes into retirement and then he comes back a few years later. This is about basically how the Chicago Bulls front office broke up the dynasty. So this is talking about their last year as a team together, going for their 6th championship. It is ridiculous. It is I don't know. It's probably one of the best documentaries ever.
You're saying it's bad. I shouldn't watch it.
No. It's great. It's amazing. Like some of the things are just like preposterous. Like one of like because it like Michael Jordan's giving interviews and stuff like that. And then it'll like go back like a few years and it'll talk about him like growing up, and then it'll come back to like the year they're talking about that the documentary itself is about. And then it'll go to different teammates like Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, Steve Kerr, etc. But the thing, like, like, there's like the debate like Michael Jordan, like LeBron James, like who's better. I was always like, I don't know, like I'm not like the biggest basketball guy. Like I know what's going on, and I knew I wanted to watch this from like the trailers and stuff. But I have no doubt in my mind now that Michael Jordan is definitely the greatest player of all time. Like, I don't think there's any debate. This, like, Michael Jordan would find anything, literally anything, to like just make him in his brain be like, okay, well now you made this personal, so now I gotta beat your ass. Like the one, I forgot what he said. The guy said exactly, but the one time it came out that this other player said something, and then Michael Jordan was like, okay, and then he dropped, I don't know, like a 50 bomb or something on it. But it turns out that Michael Jordan made that up, and the player never said that. So like he would like make something up to give him an edge, and then he would just like unleash.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know how they ended up breaking up this dynasty. Like, I don't know, like, if you win a sixth one with the team you have around them, like, I don't know how you don't bring the team back to go to a seventh. Basically, the person who did it was Jerry Krause, which when I saw the first episode, it wasn't all about Jerry Krause, but there was some stuff mixed in with him. And I was like, what happened to him? Apparently he like passed away. I don't know how many years ago, but I was like, oh, I hope like this guy must be like one of the most hated people in Chicago. But I think I don't know when he passed away, but it was like definitely like a little bit ago. But basically like he said at one point, like, this is the last year with this team. Like, the coach is not coming back, Phil Jackson. They're like, Phil Jackson's not coming back as the head coach. Like, if Michael wants to leave, like, that's fine. But like, we'd welcome him back. But Michael Jordan was like, if I'm not playing for Phil Jackson, like, I'm not playing for anybody. So that's basically why he left. But yeah, it's a very riveting documentary that takes a good look inside of like the relationships in the organization. Michael Jordan's like closest friends talk about him, and his bodyguards, everybody that was around him during that time. It's like, even if you don't want anything to do with sports or basketball, it's still an amazing documentary that I just feel like everybody should watch. Even talking about like his leadership and how he would like his form of leadership, very, I don't want to say unconventional, but like sometimes teammates would think of him as a bully. Like he would just like like he wanted greatness out of everybody, and he knew, because he just wanted to win that badly. But yeah, I think it's just an amazing documentary. You should definitely watch it.
Nice.
It's currently like,
and how many episodes is it?
It's 10 episodes, an hour each. They were supposed to do it every other night of the finals. But since obviously the NBL sports are like canceled right now.
Oh, so was this moved up?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so they decided to do 2 episodes on a Sunday every week. Yeah, I'm assuming it's on ESPN Plus. And then it's in like other countries on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I will probably give that a shot, actually.
I know
because it sounds very good. Well, because I love, documentaries obviously are fantastic, and even if I don't like, or not that I don't like, but if I'm not into the subject material, it's still going to be something that, I want to watch. Yeah. So next up, I wanted to take a moment, stand on my soapbox, and scream to the heavens the religious, dare I say, spiritual experience of watching the 2014 film Chef, starring and directed by Jon Favreau. If you don't know, Jon Favreau is a very tenured Hollywood actor turned director turned writer, executive producer and showrunner on The Mandalorian. But in 2014, he made something of a passion project that he had been wanting to make for quite some time, called Chef, which I was blown away. I mean, that movie is so fantastic. The performances that he's able to get out of his co-stars. Sofia Vergara in the movie plays his ex-wife, and she gives a very, if you've ever seen Modern Family or anything, she's playing up a character for the comedy, but she gives a very powerful and subdued performance in Chef, where you can really just tell that, even though they're split up, she, still obviously cares for him. They have a son together. The movie is very heavily about the father and son experience and kind of mending that break that happened when the parents split up. And she is just very good in the movie. So is supporting performances by Scarlett Johansson, Dustin Hoffman, Bobby Cannavale, and also John Leguizamo is also very good in it. He plays kind of the main character, Jon Favreau's character's best friend, and old assistant cook in the restaurant. Basically, not going to spoil the end of the movie, but you can tell by the poster and the trailers and everything what it's basically about, which is that he is this big LA chef that, for one reason or another, he has to give up his position at the restaurant that he's been at for many years, and he has to go to basically find himself again through his love of food and through his love of his family. And that basically takes form by him getting a food truck and creating a food truck and getting the experience of making the food truck. They fly from Los Angeles to Miami to get the food truck from another great supporting performance in the movie, Robert Downey Jr., who's very good in that movie. They get the food truck from him and his son. There's a whole montage of them fixing the food truck, making it look great and everything. And then they decide that instead of the son flying back with his mother, that John Leguizamo's character, Jon Favreau, and his son are all going to drive cross country in the food truck back to Los Angeles. And it's just one of those movies where, when you break it down to its core, it's a very simple story of, as they drive along, it's kind of one of those things where, they find each other, they find their way back to each other through their love of food and him teaching his son. And it's a very loving story, and it's very, very good. But the main thing about the movie that is the overwhelming factor for me, which to me, I mean, I've watched it twice now in the last week, is how laid back, relaxed, and easygoing the actual pacing and tone of the movie is. It just feels like you're kind of sitting in another seat in the food truck. Like, you don't feel like you're infringing on these people's lives. You just kind of feel like you're part of their lives, if that makes sense. It's just a very, very relaxed style of filmmaking that I think, Jon Favreau is really, really good at doing. I just think he can get a lot of natural warmth out of his performers and out of the story that he tells. And I just think it was amazing. I mean, I rated it 5 stars on my Letterboxd review for it. I just thought it was fantastic. It had me glued to the screen, from start to finish. But Sorry for my rant there, but it was just
I'm definitely gonna check it out. And this is like they made like a documentary too, right? Or something like that.
Oh no, that's the best part of this entire thing is it's not a documentary about. I mean, there is a great documentary about the making of the movie, but Netflix gave Jon Favreau a show which is the exact same style of the movie. It's called The Chef Show, where he's had people like Dave Filoni, Tom Holland, Robert Downey Jr., Gwyneth Paltrow. He even had this past season he had Sam Raimi on for a really, really funny episode. It was the two of them making bread. That was the entire episode. It was very funny. But it's the Chef Show on Netflix, which it's he's not playing the character anymore. It is a docu-series where it's basically just Jon Favreau and this chef Roy Choi, who was Jon Favreau's culinary tutor and instructor on set while making Chef. And it's basically Jon and Roy. So some of the episodes are celebrities coming to Jon's kitchen where they all make stuff together and they just have a great time, and it's a great kind of loose interview format. But then in season 2 and 3, they've actually now started kind of intercutting some episodes that are literally just Jon Favreau and Roy Choi just going to small restaurants throughout the country, just that you would never know, who they were, just a random place, and just talking to them, learning their style of cooking, and letting them tell their story to a wide audience. Is the same thing with the movie, where it's just a relaxed situation, where it's just like kind of no pressure. They just kind of they just kind of spill their guts to him. He's a great interviewer, which I think is why he's such a good interviewer on the Mandalorian documentary that's airing right now. But yeah, it's very, very good. I would almost equally recommend the Chef movie and the Chef Show on Netflix. There's 3 seasons of it right now. It's really, really good. Half-hour episodes. I would definitely check it out if you haven't.
All right, I'm definitely gonna have to check it out then, because I have not watched any of that.
Yeah.
And then our last shoot the shit topic is Rambo: Last Blood, because I think I watched that a few days ago.
Oh boy!
On Twitch is like a, what did I call it? A Twitch watch party. Yeah. So basically, like if a streamer wants to watch a certain movie, you can do a Twitch watch party. Whereas if you have Prime and if you subscribe to Prime, you can watch the movie with the streamer. If you don't have Prime, you just basically you can just watch the streamer's reaction and listen to him talk, but you can't watch the movie. This movie was, I've seen, like, there was a time, I think a few years ago, where I was like, I'm gonna watch all the Predators, did that, watched all the Aliens. I was like, there's good ones and there's like really bad ones. Rambo: Last Blood, I was like, I kind of want to watch all the Rambos. Probably shouldn't have started off with the last one, but whatever. Or I think is it the last one, or are they making another? Maybe.
I think it's the last one. It's definitely. Okay. I don't know of anything in development, but I'm gonna guess based on the box office, it's the last one.
Yeah. So it wasn't good. I didn't like it. I mean, it takes. I don't even know what did it take. Like, the movie's an hour and a half, I think, and it probably took an hour for him to kill somebody. Isn't that like
which is exactly what you don't want from a Rambo movie?
Isn't that what he does?
Yeah.
I didn't like the acting. I thought there was characters that just didn't need to be there. I just don't really want to remember the movie. Really, have you seen, like, how many Rambos have you seen?
I have seen I've seen First Blood, and I have seen Last Blood. That's it. So I have not seen the in between quels. I've seen the first and the last adventure.
How many there are? This guy, I think there's like 6, right?
I think it's 5. I think it's Rambo. It's First Blood, then Rambo, then I think Rambo 2, then I couldn't tell you. I can't think of the names of them right now, but I definitely it's second only to Fast and Furious of worst naming continuity for a franchise.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like. I mean, like the kills were cool, but I also felt like it was. I mean, I get Rambo's supposed to be gory. I get it, but like I feel like it was just gory for the sake of being gory.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think of like what the kills were.
Exactly. Well, one thing.
Like,
oh yeah. No, continue.
There was one point where he's like in Mexico and he's walking around and they're all like following him, like they're blowing whistles, saying that he's walking by them, and they all start following him. I was like, are we gonna jump him now or what? I was like, we jump him? Like why? Like there's literally like 50 people in a circle around him. I was like, well, this is her. And then oh my god, there's like this detective, I think, or something. No, really, no point. I don't know why she's even in it.
Yeah, exactly.
No point for it.
Yeah. I know. I know. I was telling you when you watched it that, and I'll definitely let the listeners know that one movie that if you want that kind of a fix that I think is really good from the last couple of years is Miss Bala, which is a American remake of a older film of the same name, starring the remake starring Gina Rodriguez from Jane the Virgin. It's very, very good. I was not expecting much of it going into the theater, but it was very, very good. It's a great female-led action, crazy thriller. It's got like a weird love story subplot in it, but it's got a great finale, and it's like you'll be gripped on the edge of your seat for a while. I don't know what streaming platform it's on. I can look it up really quick.
Streaming. I think it's like VOD.
Yeah. I can look it up really quick, but it's definitely, if you are looking for the kind of Rambo shoot 'em up cartel kind of movie, that is definitely one that I recommend.
Sorry. Actually, it's on Hulu, Stars, and then Sling TV, and then you can rent it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So with that, I think we're moving on to final order.
All right, perfect. And the final order is where you guys, the viewers and listeners, are definitely going to come into play here. Basically, the final order, every week, me and TJ are going to trade off topics that basically one of us wants the listeners to partake in and kind of get word back to us. So we're going to give you our Twitter handles at the end of the episode to let you know how to get in touch with us and everything. You can also send a email over to our official podcast email address, which is pasteeatingyak@gmail.com. That link will also be in the description of the episode. But basically, today I'm going to be taking point on this, and my final order for today's podcast is to convince both TJ and you guys that Tron Legacy is a great film. Now, this is definitely something that, a lot of people have fought me on, and, more power to them, that they feel that way. But I just think it is one of the best looking films. I mean, the movie came out a decade ago. It came out in 2010. It looks like it came out 10 years from now. I just watched it last night as of the recording of this, and it is visually one of the most stunning movies ever made, period, ever made. And the soundtrack, the score by Daft Punk, is one of the best cinematic scores ever, definitely in the last 20 years. Absolutely, they are incredible. They did not only original music for the soundtrack, but they scored the entire film. Every piece of music you hear in it is by Daft Punk, which is amazing. And it's really a movie that Disney doesn't really make anymore. It's kind of in that vein of like your National Treasures and even like a Pirates movie, with where, you know, the last one I can kind of think of that's kind of in that vein is like Mary Poppins Returns, which is very good as well. Where it's actually not just kind of, and I love Disney, but it's not just kind of a regurgitated form of a previous film. It's actually like a new story. And I think really the only place that it has a slight downfall is the main actor, Garrett Hedlund, who plays Sam Flynn in the movie, Jeff Bridges' character's son. I think he is fine in the film. I just think that a stronger performer, like if they could have gotten someone in the vein, I mean, he might have been a little bit too old at the time, but I think it would have worked. Like if they could have gotten somebody in the vein of like Joseph Gordon-Levitt to play the lead in this film, I think it would have. I think if you change the person who is playing that character, I think the movie would get a lot less flack, because a lot of the movie rides on the shoulders of his performance, and I think at times it can just be a little lackluster. But other than that, I mean, Jeff Bridges brings his A game. It's a fantastic follow-up to an incredible film that, you know, predicted basically the world that we are living in today. If you want to learn a lot more about Tron and Tron Legacy, the Disney Plus series Prop Culture is really, really good. The second episode of that show is all about Tron and Tron Legacy and the props in both of those movies, and gives you a lot of insight into the production process on the sequel as well as the production process on the first film. And it is just very, very good. I highly recommend it. You know, it definitely ages well. I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 years, you know, the conversation turns to, you know, kind of like how people view the prequels now, where, you know, a lot of people in the beginning obviously hated the prequels very, very strongly. I'm a prequels kid. You know, I love the prequels to death. I definitely know that there are some issues with them, but I'm definitely glad that, you know, kind of seeming that the general consensus is kind of tilting to favor them now, and I would not be surprised if that's what happens with Tron Legacy in the coming years. So the final order for today's podcast is, if you've seen Tron Legacy, send us a tweet. I am at Paste Eating Yak on Twitter. Tim, what's your Twitter handle?
At TJ__ Cornwell.
Perfect. And those are also going to be in the description, but send us a tweet with the hashtag PastewellPodcast. Let us know what your thoughts are on the film. If you have Disney Plus, it's a 2-hour movie. I strongly recommend. You know, it looks great on any, you know, most flat screen TVs. It looks fantastic in the home. It's got great sound. If you have Disney Plus, I definitely recommend giving it a watch. It's on there right now. You know, watch it. Send us a tweet. Let us know what you think about it. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm a crazy person? You know, let us know whatever you want. Or if you just have any general, you know, thoughts about the podcast or anything, go ahead and send us your tweets, you know, with the hashtag PastewellPodcast, and we will definitely take a look at them. And anyone that sends in anything about the final order, we will then discuss your responses in next week's final order. So that will be headed up by TJ next week. Can't wait to see what he comes up with that. But you know, exactly, for the inaugural episode of the Pastewell podcast, I am Sean Monk,
and I'm TJ Cornwell.
and thanks for talking with us.